Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Learn with Pepi. As every Friday, we've got a special guest. Today we've got with us Noelia, a bilingual teacher training student who has designed a didactic unit. She's going to tell us about her experience. Inside video!
Thank you, Pepi, for inviting me. So my name is Noelia, and today I'm here to talk to you about my didactic unit called Discovering Aspects of Europe. So first of all, this activity is related to blocks 1 and 3 from social science for children from 6th grade. Based on the Decree 119/2014 of 5 September, which establishes the curriculum for primary education in the region of Murcia, the aim of this activity specifically is to pupils to be able to use technology for the subject and to obtain information in a correct way, to show values and skill working in group. Related to the content, the specific objectives are for them to know what a landscape is, to identify its elements, as well as differentiate European hierarchical features, and to be able to propose measures for a sustainable development. Here, learning is taken as an active construction of knowledge, and following the ICT framework, we have set design, epistemic, and social design. Related to set design, we have 6th graders of the region of Murcia in a bilingual school, and they are maybe like 24. It will take from 5 to 6 classes to develop the activity in a correct way, depending on the rhythm of the students. They have 3.5 hours per week for this subject, and the scenarios will be the class, the computer room, and their house. Resources are tablets, mobiles, and computers. The epistemic designs consists of exhibition, creation, group feedback, exercises, sheets, website, graphics, summaries, and writing answer to compulsory questions. And finally, regarding to social design, we have the teacher as a guide, the children as an audience with making the final presentation. For doing this task, the students have to use 3 different tools: DeepL as a translator, and PowerPoint and Miro to create. If any student doesn't have access to any email account, this has been created for them to have the same opportunities. In the first session, we will review the basis of European relief, seas, rivers, landscapes, and in which we will find out where we start from regarding the knowledge of our students, since not all the students have the same level in content, depending on their involvement in previous courses, abilities, situation outside the school, among many others. Enfina Alonso, in her book I'm a Teacher, Learning to Teach, highlights the method we will use, thumbs up. It's a quick and tidy solution in which to see the general level of the class in order to walk. We will then ask them to pair up to work in pairs. This can help them to gain skills related to teamwork, assertiveness, empathy, and emotional intelligence, necessary skills as our children will be the adults of the future. With this activity, we will work with 12 European countries, 1 per pair. Each pair is randomly assigned a country. And how to make it exciting? Well, with a dynamic recount that captures the children's attention, a roulette wheel. Students really like this kind of resources as they take learning as a game, increasing their motivation. The last thing we will do in this session will be to hand out the correspondence sheet for each country to each pair. In this template, the children are asked to look for information about climate relief country in relation to the accessible contents, but also other competences of general knowledge and related to the same subjects or to others. In order for children to build up their learning, it is necessary and very effective for the concepts they learning to be related to other concepts in other subjects. They are asked about the language, population, facts, important people and monuments, and some curious facts or their own experiences. This gives a playful and personal value to the activity. In the second session, the children will go to the computer room to search for information. In this way, the children are the ones who go to the information and not the information to the children, as was the case in European society a few years ago, and which has marked today's society. They are given the following guidelines. They can use both Google and YouTube or wherever they want to search the information, but they can only use DeepL as a translator for consultation. At the end of the class, everyone must upload it to the Miro previously designed by the teacher, which is going to be one of the final products of the activity. Afterwards, it is recommended that the teacher checks that everything is correctly uploaded and takes a look at the information that the children have posted in order to be able to continue in the next session in a dynamic way. The third session is crucial, as the children will be exchanging their work for that of their classmates. I explain. Once the stencils are ready, the children will stand in a cycle around a table with all the stencils on it. What they have to do is to make a poster based on the relief, climate, landscape, and rivets of a country, as well as another presentation of the aspects covered in the card. But plot twist, it cannot be their own. This means that children have to build their learning on what others have already done, which is a reflection of society, what we do day after day in our lives. Therefore, during this first part of the class, they will have to reach agreements among themselves to decide who makes which country. During this session, the children go back to the computer room to look for the images for their college, which they will have to make in PowerPoint to later upload it to the final mirror. Then, during that weekend, the students must prepare the presentation at home, to which they can add information if they wish. If they need visual support, they can create a prezi to help them during the presentation. The following week, the fourth and fifth sessions will be dedicated to oral presentations. After finishing the last one, and as a class exercise, students will have to give feedback on the work of their classmates, giving constructive criticism and pointing out strong points about each other's work. In the same way, as a group, they will decide which 3 posters they like the best to display in class. This exercise is very important as it allows them to see their work from other perspectives of others and can be very beneficial for them if it is done correctly. So this could be the result. And here down below, I give you the link to an example of oral presentation. Some ethical problems that could arise are that some students may not be able to prepare the presentation at the weekend due to situations external to the school, either due to lack of time, resources, or personal or family situations, or they just can be disruptive in class. Another could be that when doing a free search on the internet, various cultural or religious topic may appear with which the parents do not agree. And another common one, conflict between peers. When working in a group, like all human beings, in any aspect of their lives, conflicts may arise with people we work with. We must also take into account how good the tools used in the classroom are. Let's examine the ones that they are forced to use: DeepL, Miro, and PowerPoint. This rubric is filled for each tool depending on how it works. It is divided in categories, as we can see: functionality, accessibility, technical, mobile design, privacy, and social, cognitive, and teaching presence. Taking a general look, we can see some deficiencies that lead to ethical issues. We can see the lack of social, cognitive, and teaching presence in all of them. So it is impossible for the children to have immediate feedback or control of the teachers on the tools. Also, it is evident that when using PowerPoint from a device that is not a computer, we could have some problems of format and it is not very manageable. In addition, the privacy while using Miro and PowerPoint is not guaranteed when signing up and related with the ownership of the projects. Even if this lack of privacy while using some tools, not only this but many others, is worrying, in order to do this activity, these are the best tools from my point of view. As educators, we have to make professional decisions frequently, although the tools present this series of weaknesses when the pros outweigh the cons for our children. Using ICTs in this task gives it a globalizing value. Children can access information in a simpler and more attractive way than if they had to do it in an analog way and with books. It also adds attractive extras, such as the roulette wheel, and make it easier for them to create collages by searching for images and adding their contributions to their final product. Using ICTs in this case also provides a great capacity to correct some mistakes or things to improve compared to if they had to make the compositions manually. To do it from home, we don't really need to do like a lot of changes. Classes could be by Zoom and children could work in pairs by video calls. Most of the standards in Block 1 could be assessed by the teacher by observation and taking notes in class, as they are based on students' seeks and organizes informations, uses ICTs, have a cooperative and respectful way in discussions and takes initiative. However, this rubric will be used to assess the oral presentation, in which we evaluate some aspects from Block 1 related to a clear and organized presentation, correct terminology, and then the contents from Block 3. As we know, what is a landscape, its elements, and European characteristics. For its students' PLE, this activity is really nourishing. So, the tools that they have used could be included in their PLEs for their future, apart from the different tools to create, edit, and share information. They could include some dynamics, as for example, feedback in group, because doing it in a correct way, it can be very beneficial for them, and in relation with information sharing and social relationships is very useful. Regarding to my experience, 5 important elements of Discord that I would like to include in my PLE. First, Blogger and Instagram that fits in all the categories. I had never used Blogger, and I've discovered that it is really useful, and I always used Instagram as social media as the majority of the people because the society established it. But particularly during the course, I've given this platform a very educational, valuable above all of that, and I just would like to highlight it and keep it. Then Google Forms in order to create and share, and DeepL only to create, which I never used before, and that are really quality, as we saw in Talk 5 with our urban rubrics, and that are really practical tools to learning process and use. And last but not least, I would like to include speed learning that could be considered a strategy of cognition strategy. And I have found it very interesting and dynamic, taking into account our European model of education and educational perspective. Related to teaching competence for a digital world, I consider more relevant these components. First, expert in enhanced organizational or personal learning context, that is basically to have the capacity to create, change, or expand a PLE. Each teacher do it because of the ICTs that allow access, recreation, and to discussion of the information. Second, sensitive to the use of technology from the social commitment perspective. If we, in our society and culture perspective, see the role of the teacher as a professional who socializes people and assesses future adults, we would like to think of a person who is considered with social and ethical imperatives. In the classroom and nowadays with the global implementation of ICTs, docents must be concerned of the pros and cons of the tools they use with their students, as we saw in Talk 5. And lastly, able to use tools, technology to expand his relationship with the students, family, and environment. There have been many changes in the way families are constituted and in the students. Due to this, ICTs are important to communicate with teachers, families, and students. Students have more opportunities and less inequalities in the class. So I conclude that communication skills, social networks, ethics, and social imperatives are really determinant, and that the goal of education should be creating critical, reflected, committed, and kind citizens in order to construct a better world. And now, from my point of view, summarizing all my work in just one number is really complicated. During the course, we have done like a lot of different activities: the transversal activity, the weekly projects, the portfolio, this video, and the results have been like really different. But I have 2 things clear: that the results have been improving, and that I always tried my best, even having bad days, what is called first world problems. I had the best attitude to my classmates while doing the projects, and now with all my effort that I put in this video. But I really think that in life there is always a space to improve. So I will give myself an 8 overall. And now I agree that the most important and the most difficult role to perform is the analyst. He or she has to reflect a lot, to be self-critical, and indeed evaluate with other people's work. He or she makes decisions that involves everyone in the group, and it is really difficult. Personally, I will also like to add that being analyst make me reflect, and I think that we all are analysts in our lives. For example, when we work with someone or in all aspects of our lives, we are always judging or evaluating how others work or how others do something.
And this is the end of today's video. I hope you like it, and don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!